Many people, when it comes to making art, are so used to drawing or painting or using pastels from images, photos of their own imagination that they're just they just do not consider the potential of drawing from real life. Maybe it's because they're too scared to take such a leap of faith in their art, or they just don't want to risk a lack of perfection in recreating from real life. Well, the thing is, drawing from real life is what can make art all the more meaningful to explore and experiment with. So today I'm here to teach you how to draw a still life model. And this process includes gathering your needed art materials, setting up your still life model, and the actual process of drawing the model. Let's go. So the first thing you're going to need is to gather your needed art materials. And the art materials you will need include the following. You are going to need something like a paper on a pad or something else hard to support it while you're drawing, as well as drawing utensils such as a pencil and eraser. And this can be either graphite or charcoal, or you can use other materials like paint and oil pastels for your materials. And according to one story about drawing from still life about a teacher named Alexander Pheasant models, written by Karen Lynn Greenberg in Virginia Quarterly, she will ask the girls in her 10 a.m. intermediate drawing class to render the pheasants in pastels. But she knows that the drawings will turn out poorly because these girls insist on buying the absolute cheapest supplies. Garbage with too much filler and hardly any pigments. Bad supplies make bad art. Now what Lynn Greenwood means by this part of her story is that you'll need sufficient materials, though nothing too overly expensive, to make sufficient art. And you can find the most sufficient, not freshly yet used materials from places like Michael's and Hobby Lobby. Target and Walmart are also applicable, but maybe not as much. So now, once you have collected all of your necessary drawing materials, including pencils and eraser, it is time for us to set up our still life model. So now the next step in this process is to set up your still life model. And you can use any sort of objects you've got around your house, one or more objects, to actually make it, such as a mug. And you can use one or more mugs of different shapes and sizes, and even put it on top of like a plate. But your imagination can run wild with still lifes. And you can set up that still model any way you would like, such as like this way or this way. And if you want to risk yourself further, take a further step, you can add some extra lighting to it to get a good emphasis of dramatic values and contrast. Now, here's another little story, this time written by Debbie West. Not exactly a story, but a guide about drawing still lifes as demonstrated by Debbie West in Arts and Activities, a book. According to West, I invite them to bring in some of their favorite objects, and I remind them that we will want to incorporate sheets or cloth folds, glass, metal, foliage, wood, creating a lovely array of objects that push them to experiment with textures in their line, shape, and work values. Now, what Wes means by this is that she wants us as still life drawers to experiment with using a wide array of objects, regardless of their size or textures, and create any compositions we like, pushing ourselves to the limit of getting down the composition and values and the like. Well, now that we have set up our still life model, it is time for the best part, the actual process of drawing the still life model. The last step in this process of drawing still life is to, of course, draw the model itself. But there are some things you'll need to consider when drawing a still life. When you're drawing a still life, you should remember to look back at your object to make sure that you get an accurate recreation of the shape and compositions of your art, of the object, such as well as the values of lights and darks. Now, this may seem a little rushed, but this is just to give you a rough demonstration of how you can draw a still life. Just like this. And now, according to a little story by Patricia Lockwood in The Atlantic, it is where the movement of the title finally sweeps you up and makes you a part of it, and makes you a part of it too. Regardless, despite your imperfections, your bad ideas about your art, and your inability to paint the world as you see it. Now, what she means by this is that regardless of what materials you use or what you recreate in a still life, it does not hurt to let yourself get swept up in drawing the still life model, taking in what you see and recreating it in your drawing, such as I've demonstrated to you here. Well, today, I have showed you how to draw a still life model in 3 steps. First, I showed you what materials you will need to gather, such as pencils and erasers. Then second, I showed you how to find objects for your still life model, setting up your still life model, including setting up your objects and adding light for additional values. And finally, today, I showed you the actual process of drawing the still life, such as considering how to look back at the drawing to properly recreate what you see as shown here. Now, from my little session with you on drawing still lifes today, I would like for you to walk away with this one little thing. When it comes to making art, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and try drawing from real life, because it could be just as much effort in your creative pursuits as it is from drawing from photos and your own imagination. Thank you.